Give us like 5 seconds. It's about to stream.
There's a weird echo. I don't know what that is, Ian, if you heard in between two places or something, or the YouTube or.
We are live.
All right, great. Welcome everyone to the Housing and Real Property Subcommittee. We are going to have a meeting regarding some recent bills that we have heard in our committee. We have we are joined by some of the bill sponsors and their offices, along with those who are asking for possible amendments. We're going to start with a brief discussion on House Bill 200. If Mr. Boyd, if you can please give us a brief description of House Bill 200, I would greatly appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chair. So HB 200 is the sale of residential real property, required flood risk disclosure. This is not a reintro. It's not cross-filed. There's no fiscal impact. What the bill does is require Maryland Department of the Environment to develop and publish a flood risk disclosure statement for use in connection with the sale of residential real property. This is going to provide information about whether the property is within a flood hazard area, whether it's subject to a requirement under federal law to obtain flood insurance, whether the seller has flood insurance currently, and if there's a FEMA elevation certificate. And then beginning July 1, 2027, the bill requires a seller of real property to provide that disclosure form, which was developed by MDE, and then related information to the purchaser before entering into a contract. At the bill hearing, there was discussion of an amendment, and there's been an amendment that I believe the bill sponsor, the Maryland Realtors, Maryland Building Industry Association, and NIOP, which is the commercial real estate group, have put together based on the Seller Property Condition and Disclosure Act, which is a current disclosure provision for single-family homes.
All right, thank you. And I understand that the bill sponsor, I know she's still in committee, but her office is here. I know that previously it was discussed that they were open to amendments from the Maryland Realtors. I know that there's been some back and forth on what those amendments will be. Just wanted to get an opportunity for Delegate Lehman's office to provide some context into those amendments. I guess, do we want to start with from the Delegate Lehman's office? Do you want to talk first, or do you want to let the realtors provide what their suggested amendments are, and then you all can give your comments?
I think the second choice would be the best way to do it. I will hand it over to Mr. Castelli.
Mr. Castelli here.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the amendments do a couple of different things. One is it makes it clear that this disclosure would follow the same exemptions that the other disclosure, the seller property disclosure form, follows. So right now, for real estate transactions, the seller disclosure form deals with a lot of different disclosure items, things that affect the property itself, might be the roof and the condition of the property, but it also affects other disclosure elements, including whether they're within a floodplain. So this bill would apply those same exclusions, and the exclusions are mostly for properties that somebody isn't living in. So the whole idea of the form is that the owner of the property is going to be able to disclose flooding events that occurred. So this exempts out those kinds of transactions, including initial transactions where you haven't had a homeowner in the property who can attest to whether those flooding events occurred. And then the second part of the amendments deal with the disclosure itself, which is just providing the disclosure that MDE comes up with, and then making it clear that you would also give the FEMA certificate, but you wouldn't give like an accounting of, let's say you received FEMA assistance to repair property. The bill as drafted would have required you to give an accounting of how that money was used And our concern with that was that, I mean, you could be talking about a flooding event 20 years ago. It'd be very difficult for a seller to come up with that kind of paperwork. The form itself is pretty comprehensive in disclosing whether flooding events have occurred. So we think it does capture that. And I think that's, probably a good description of the amendments.
Delegate Aaron's, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm having connection issues, y'all. I'm off screen for the moment.
That's
I'm trying to
okay.
get my connection together. Sorry.
It's great. It's a great picture of you. So anyway, hey, Bill, isn't the floodplain disclosed at closing? Doesn't the title search reveal that?
Yeah, I mean, title search can reveal it at closing. It's, I think the idea of this is to get it up front, get the disclosure up front when people are, about to sign the contract.
Okay, but well, I guess that's really more the insurances. Who are you dependent on to keep this documentation? The owner or their insurance company? Because I think that they're the ones that actually get involved with the floodplain, correct?
Well, it would be, so right now there's a really easy, like if you go up to EPA, there's a website where you just plug in your address and it will actually give you the information that's required by the form. It tells you whether you're in a special flood area, gives you a little map. So all of those things an owner would be able to fill out in terms of the questions that the form asks.
Okay.
And then, the flood, if you're in a special flood hazard area, then you might, you would likely have a flood elevation certificate, and then you would have to produce that under the bill too.
Okay, a lot of people don't have that. But is this going to be the responsibility of the listing agent then to provide this, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be the seller who's ultimately got to fill out the form. But yeah, so the disclosure would be an additional disclosure that would be in the packet that the listing agent prepares,
okay,
to make sure that they have it. And there was a delay to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and every agent will have this website that they can go to, and that website is the credible website that we can put that in there. This is where we got it. It's a done deal. We don't have to justify it any further then.
Yeah, we would likely update our forms to make it clear what website folks would go to just download the information, plug in their address and determine whether they're in that special flood area.
And that website is credible and absolute.
It's an EPA website.
Okay, so I have no other responsibility other than doing that.
Correct. Yeah, actually making sure that they've got the form and then the information for the website, and then the seller will have to just complete it.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Thanks for chair.
All right. Did Delegate Lehman's office want to offer any comments to those suggested amendments? And again, this is just a discussion. We'll continue this discussion in other meetings, or again, people can please feel free to contact the office and the realtor's office offline if they have any amendments they want to offer. I'll give it to Delegate Lehman's office to provide any context to where you all are in the amendments.
Delegate Lehman is comfortable with the amendments that the realtors have offered. She and Mr. Castelli met earlier today, and she's on board.
Okay, so if you all can prepare those amendments and have them sent over, and we'll be ready to have a further discussion later on our next meeting, probably next week or maybe the week after, hopefully next week.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to our, and again, I apologize, you all. My connection's horrible in my own office. I don't know what's going on around here. When I go on screen, it gets worse, but okay, we'll try. All right, so we'll move forward with our proper schedule. So we're going to start with, let me go back up, House Bill 153. This is also Delegate Lehman's bill. She's everywhere on this subcommittee today. If Ben, if you can give a brief description of the bill, and then I will talk about the amendment.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So HB 153 is titled Residential Rental Apartments Air Conditioning Requirement. This is a reintroduction of House Bill 339 from last year. It's cross-filed with Senate Bill 12. There's no fiscal impact. What the bill does is require landlords to provide air conditioning in each residential unit beginning June 1, 2026 for newly constructed residential units, and then for units that undergo a substantial upgrade or replacement of an electrical or heating system. The subsection C of the bill establishes when the air conditioning must be provided, which is June 1st to September 1st, and then also how it's measured. And then there's also been one amendment, Mr. Chair, that your office has been working on related to setting the floor for local jurisdictions and not the ceiling.
Yeah, and the amendment that I'm offering would just ensure that if local jurisdictions want to do something that's more, I won't say more impactful or add more requirements, they're not precluded from doing so because of this bill. So with that, we'll open up for discussion if there's any questions, and I guess we'll also leave it to the bill sponsor if they have any comments on the amendments. But Delegate Aronson and then Delegate Adams.
Basically, if you look at the realtor's testimony, it's vague, it's ambiguous. I mean, if you're going to sit back and put somebody coming in with a meat thermometer into your house, how you measure that stuff, I think the bill needs ironed out a whole lot more than just to say it's got to be there, because I could put an air conditioning unit in there and it doesn't meet the standards. I just think it's a tough one to do. I'm not good with that side of it. So if somebody else wants to talk.
Thank you, Delegate Adams.
So if council could help me just with the description of substantial remodeling, is there I mean, I'm leading in the same place that Delegate Aronson is headed, but I mean, if we're going to pass a bill, what does it mean when you have a substantial upgrade of electrical system or heating system, and who gets to decide that sort of item?
Mr. Chair, can I respond? May I respond to
Yeah,
Delegate?
go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. So Delegate Adams, that has been discussed in the past. A couple of things. The one is that's trying to be a little bit more prescriptive than just say, reasonably being reasonably updated. Substantial is also a term that's used when I've seen in a couple other places in the code when they're talking about a triggering event. So yeah, that's what I would say to that.
So I mean, the point I'm making is a gut and a remodel of a rental property that doesn't include the electrical system wouldn't fall in violation of this law. For some reason, we're choosing electrical systems as the trigger for this, because there is a follow-up to that. But is that your general? If you're replacing drywall and insulation and cabinets and doors and wood trim and siding and roofing, all those things are substantial, but we've decided electrical is the thing that we're doing here.
And if I may, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, I'm used to just doing this as a dialogue back and forth.
Good.
If we're doing Robert's rules, I guess I need to.
No, I think it's okay. It's not just a substantial upgrade of electrical systems, it's also the heating system.
Heating. Okay.
Yeah. And it could just be the replacement as well, in addition to substantial upgrade. Thank you.
All right. And then the last question is, if it's a substantial upgrade to electrical systems, let's say I've got a house with wiring from the 50s and I'm not replacing the breaker box or anything else, but I'm replacing all of the receptacles and the wiring as a part of this gut remodel. Are we concluding that would be a substantial upgrade of the electrical system? Because, and the follow-up to that is, that may not include the upgrade of the breaker box to allow for, say, for example, a central HVAC system. It's just trying to get a house with new, Comex wire and related things. So just maybe some guidance on that.
I think it's one consideration related to try to answer your question as best I can is it's possible that, doing a piecemeal approach like that could be the case, that this could require, you know, there might be other code provisions that are, you know, you can't just do one part of an electrical replacement or you'll be in violation of another code or best practice.
Yeah, you'd have to pull an electrical permit to do that, but I don't know that I am saying that in that scenario, I'm replacing the electrical system to frankly upgrade the amperage. So, Mr. Chair, the only reason why I bring those questions up is to have this dialogue that these are where my concerns are. The definition of substantial and what we're really talking about for electrical systems. I think I understand generally what the sponsor is trying to do, yet I don't think it's workable in the sense that these definitions won't have a lot of meaning in a practical sense when we're talking about whether a property owner's in violation of the law. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Got it. Thank you for those comments, and those are fair things to discuss. I'll move it over to Delegate Weibel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had asked some questions at the hearing, and then I subsequently reached out to the Department of Health. They've acknowledged receipt of my request, but haven't responded. So I had a bunch of questions about heat, how many heat-related deaths there were, whether or not it was hot and they died, or they died because it was hot, where they died inside or outside, and how many of those inside deaths were in rental properties, because I'm just trying to figure out how big of an issue this is. And then my other question on this bill is, why are we exempting Baltimore City properties that are part of the housing authority between 40 and 50 or 60 and 97?
I'll open up these questions to council, and then I know the office of the of Mary Lehman can answer some of those questions as to the rationale around that drafting piece. My understanding, it's around the ability to update based on how the buildings are constructed, but I'm not going to speak as an expert on this bill because it is not my bill. Ben, if you had any insight on that, I'll let you go first, and then we'll turn it over to Delegate Lehman's office.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at the Housing Authority for Baltimore City's testimony on the bill. They're noting that due to infrastructure at some of their sites, which I believe is referenced in the bill that Delegate Weibel mentioned, those aren't currently undergoing redevelopment, and a complete overhaul would be needed to support the installation of air conditioning at enormous cost. So that is my understanding of that.
Would be the case, though, with anyone?
There's also, if I may, there's also some discussion about HUD requirements, which do not require housing authorities to provide or install air conditioning units for residents.
So we're exempting HUD as well? I didn't see that.
That's related to the Baltimore City
Okay.
Housing Authority.
And it's my understanding, Ben, that Baltimore City already has this law in place, correct? Isn't it Baltimore and I forget which counties? Remind me what counties, and maybe if you don't know off the top of your head, I apologize.
Sorry. Appreciate it. It's Prince George's County and Montgomery County.
Prince George's County and Montgomery County. Okay, so 2 counties already have it. Delegate Lehman's office, if you wanted to provide any more conversation or context.
Just a little bit. And again, I'm Mary Jane Coolin. I'm Delegate Lehman's Chief of Staff. To the question about the Baltimore Housing Authority properties, it is our understanding that yes, HUD is their financer that pays for them. They do not require air conditioning. Plus, there are properties that are aged so much that the city is in consideration of replacing them. And instead of putting a lot of HUD money into putting air conditioning into the old buildings, they feel that it would make more sense to do that at the time when they're rebuilt. Delegate Weibel, I think
but can't we, I mean, why would they be singled out? Why wouldn't that rule to extend to anybody who has a rental property? I mean, I might have a rental property I plan on, tearing down in 10 years. Why can't I get that exemption?
They were the ones who reached out about the exemption. And we've been talking to them over the last 2 years about their properties. And it just seems that those properties are in a situation, again, they're not privately owned. These are HUD finance properties. So it does make a difference because HUD is seeing air conditioning crazily as a luxury. But when they rebuild the buildings, they do intend to put air conditioning into them.
Okay, and then do you have any information on all the heat-related deaths? I know.
Yes, we have that. I will pass it on to the members of this subcommittee so that you can have that.
So you have all the information, how many, whether it was inside, outside, how the temperatures and
Right,
or tenant
right,
properties?
right.
Okay,
And I think that's better seen than for me to talk about it because it's in
sure.
graph form and
Okay, great.
it'll be
Thanks.
easier that way. And the last, I think your first question had to do with how are we measuring the temperature. I think that goes along with the permitting of the property. And I think that there is an inspector. They know how to, they've got professional equipment. It isn't a meat thermometer. It would be probably a laser thermometer. And that's me saying it. I can't say what they're using, but they know how to measure that kind of temperature. And that came from standards from ASHRAE, which is an international property standards organization.
And that was at 80 degrees at 3 feet above the floor level.
And we're using that mark because that's what's in the Montgomery County and Prince George's County laws.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, I will first entertain a motion to move the amendment.
Can you entertain a motion unfavorable?
Well, we can. I mean, so here's what we can do. We can. I think we want to try and get the ball moving on this. I think between now and full committee hearing, there's opportunities for other amendments to be added, or if you want to vote unfavorable on moving out of committee, subcommittee, you have the full right to vote unfavorable once we get there. But yeah, you can be unfavorable on the on the amendment, but I'll entertain a motion to move the amendment. If someone's talking, you're on mute.
Mr. Chair, is that
Yes.
one amendment or two amendments?
It's just one. It's the one amendment to ensure that local jurisdictions can impose more regulations on this than just this regulation that we have without being impugned by state law. So if you want to have the threshold be a different temperature, if you want to have a threshold be different units, you can still do that at the local level if you would like to. That's what the amendment does. It just creates a different floor.
I'm sorry, could you remind me whose amendment is this?
Oh, it's my amendment.
Oh, it's your amendment. So
Yeah.
yes, we know local laws can always make state laws more strict, but not the other way around, right?
Correct. Yeah. We just want to make sure it's clear in the law.
Doesn't sound like you got a motion.
Yeah, so we don't have a motion. Unless Harry, I see Harry's trying to talk. Are you trying to say something, Harry? You can't hear you, Harry, if you're talking. I think Harry.
That's why we should have in-person meetings, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We might do some more in-person meetings later.
Mr. Chair, I've done this over the years, and do you want to hold this bill, or are you seeing this bill move and you want to move the bill?
I would like to move the bill, but if we don't have a motion to move the amendment, then we can. I don't want to be. I'm not going to be the chair that moves my own amendments.
I'm not sure if this bill is ready personally.
Okay.
Move unfavorable.
The subcommittee. All right. If you all want to hold the bill, we will hold the bill.
No,
Yeah.
I moved unfavorable.
Second.
Hold the bill.
We will hold the bill. We will hold.
So
the
we
bill.
can't, but I made a motion to move unfavorable.
You
And
wanna
I
move on?
seconded it.
Okay. All right. Those who want to move unfavorable, say aye.
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 Those who nay.
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 I just want to hold the bill. I don't want to vote on it right now. Because I think we have some questions that members raised that have not been adequately.
So you're voting no, so we can then hold the bill.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, you're voting no? Okay.
Okay. And then
All right.
Delegate Queen, are you voting no as well to hold the bill? You're on mute. If we can't hear you, Delegate Queen.
Oh, yeah, let's hold the bill.
All right, we're gonna
Mr.
hold
Chair,
this one.
let's hold the bill.
All right, we're gonna hold the bill. Next bill. House Bill 431, recordation and printing of subdivision plats. Ben, if you would please provide a quick summary of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 431 is titled Real Property Recordation and Printing of Subdivision Plats Alterations. There's no cross-file, there's no local mandate, and then there has been, what the bill does is in recordation in title section of the real property article, specifically section 3108, this concerns the subdivision of plats and their recordation. What the bill does is make technical revisions to this recordation process, including updating terminology and standards for plat recordation. The bill, as introduced, increases from $5 per set to $25 per page, the fee for recording subdivision plats. However, there is an amendment, Mr. Chair, that removes that fee increase.
Yes, and I believe we have the bill sponsor here. I think he has offered that amendment. Delegate Baylor, if you want to go ahead and propose the amendment, and if you could quickly describe what the bill would do after your amendment.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Generally speaking, this bill was worked with the Maryland Society of Surveyors, and it provides a few technical updates and modernization to the statute. Firstly, allows for the digital submission first of related materials and updates survey standards for GPS technology to make it easier to do stuff, and then clarifies terminology and updates terminology mostly from the word marsh to wetland to better align with current law. There wasn't originally a fee that we heard about in the bill hearing. After working with MBIA, they were opposed to that. My amendment completely gets rid of the fee. There's no fiscal impact on the bill. And with that amendment, MBIA is in support of it.
Great. So there's no opposition with your amendment, is what you're saying?
Yep, no opposition.
All right, great. So we'll turn it over to discussion. Delegate Adams first, and then Delegate Chi.
I'll let Delegate Chi go first, but I'd either second or offer the amendment.
Okay, thank you. So to the bill sponsor, I was looking at the opposition and the testimonies about this fee. So now all of a sudden you are saying, forget about the fees, we're not gonna go there. So now what does the bill do?
As I just said, the bill updates, I would say it modernizes the statute as it relates to the aspect of surveying. Firstly, it allows for the digital submission first of these types of things as opposed to physical delivery.
Yeah.
And then updates terminology related to, it gets rid of marsh and puts in wetlands. But then I think most notably, it updates survey standards for GPS technology to make it easier for people for these surveyors to do the work. So those are the three main things. And the fee was a part of conversations, but we got rid of it at MBIA's request.
Okay, so it's still $5.
It's still $5. Yeah, it's
okay.
still.
All right, thank you.
So Delegate Adams, you still have your motion to move the amendment?
I make a motion to move the sponsor amendment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 All those who oppose, say nay. All right, do I have a motion on the bill as amended?
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those who oppose, hearing none in opposition, the bill moves favorable.
Woo-hoo.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right. Next bill, House Bill 80, landlord and tenant residential fee disclosures. Ben, if you can please provide a quick, brief summary of the bill, and then I believe there is an amendment offered by the bill sponsor, and then I think there's an additional small amendment that I will also be offering as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. HB 80 is titled Landlord and Tenant Residential Leases Fee Disclosures. What the bill does is require landlords to provide prospective tenants with information about fees and prohibits the charging of any mandatory fees that aren't disclosed. Unlike the bill from last year, this does not exempt garbage collection from the required fee disclosures. However, there has been an amendment submitted by the bill sponsor regarding this. And then there was also an amendment that you had mentioned, Mr. Chair, regarding clarifying language that had been requested by MMHA to remove the word minor on page 2, line 18 of the bill.
So I don't know if the bill sponsor is able to join us. You know, he's the one that carries. He is here. All
Here,
right.
Mr. Chair. Hello.
Any comments you wanted to add around your amendment, and I know you've been working with IOBA just to make sure you were clear on now the amendments and how we can move forward. But go ahead, Delegate Vogel.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, with the amendments, the bill is in a, I think, similar, if not exact posture to how it was passed out of this committee and, well, I guess out of E&T last year and passed out of the House with near unanimous support.
Awesome. And then I think we're redacting the word minor, which would ensure that I think the realtors would be, I forget who's in, I think we have another question. I'm sorry. Before we do that, Delegate Bhandari, you have a question? Your hand's raised.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful.
Oh, that was okay.
Yeah, just checking.
Okay, great. And with that with these amendments, I think that we're fully. I think all the concerns that were brought up during the testimony are now in the clear. Is there a motion to move the amendments? Oh, I'm sorry, Delegate Weibel. If you're talking, Delegate Weibel, you're still on mute.
So to clarify, on page 3, line 12 through 16, is that language still in there where someone can bring suit 2 years after the tenancy expired and recover 3 times the amount of actual damages?
Ben, I'll let you answer that. I'm going to pull up you said, what page is that, Delegate Weibel?
On page 3, lines 12 through 16.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. That language, Delegate Weibel, is still in the bill.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I think I saw Mr. Greenfield. Your hand was up, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to thank the sponsor for including the trash collection in the utility language, as was the case last session. We, on behalf of MMHA, also had another amendment, which concerns page 3, lines 8, beginning at lines 18. What the bill does is it allows the local jurisdictions to supersede whatever the state passes. And so we would encourage you to strike that because it's going to get completely unwieldy for some housing providers that operate over multiple jurisdictions.
Can you remind me I'm sorry, what page is that?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, it's page 3, line 18.
Mr. Chair, can I jump in here?
Give me 1 second. Yes, go ahead, Delegate Vogel.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I don't think that's a friendly amendment. Our counties and municipalities may have different policies in place here. And sorry, there's some background noise. And I don't feel comfortable adding that amendment. I think this is the way that the bill passed last year. This would be consistent with the way that it passed out of the House last year without that amendment.
So you're saying the bill passed like this out of the House chamber with almost unanimity. Everyone voted for it last year without this change.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair. I know Montgomery County has existing policies around junk fees that may differ slightly from this. I don't think it's fair for us to supersede their existing policies.
Normally we allow local jurisdictions to impose, as we said earlier with the air conditioning, and as Delegate Chief pointed out, local jurisdictions can impose more stringent requirements as they see fit. I think that's the normal way we move through business. And with no amendment being offered, I guess we'll leave that there for the moment. Thank you. All right, Delegate Adams.
So the bill with the penalty provision, has there been an amendment drawn on that? Treble damages seems fairly excessive, and then a 2-year look back. Not sure what we're trying to achieve here, but
to my knowledge, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, I have not, no amendments have been submitted to the office. And I don't believe there was even any discussion around those damages during our hearing as far as those in opposition to the bill, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. There have been no amendments regarding that penalty provision, Mr. Chair.
All right.
So, Mr. Chair, I would say that in the past, we've had bills where there's been penalty provisions that there are graduated penalties, first violation, subsequent violations, that sort of thing. That maybe I should leave it delegate. Wyville, he was the one that brought it up, but as I'm reading it, I'm not sure that the penalty here meets the nature of the error. So I'll stop right now. Just say we probably should be considering an amendment on that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't have a problem with the disclosure requirements, but I just think that's a little excessive.
I will add,
is there a willingness on the committee to amend that?
I will add this. I will add that I understand your concern, but it is a may, it's not a shall. So the courts may award up to 3 times. So it's not a guarantee that it'll be 3 times the damages that the court would do there. It's a may, it's not a shall. If it were a shall,
Yes,
it would be warranted a longer conversation, but it's a may. So the way I'm reading it is that is the most that you can get, but it's not the threshold, nor is it the guaranteed amount.
Well,
Mr. Chair, can I jump in there with a quick point here?
Bring action.
One second. Let me let Delegate Arentz have a comment here first, and then Delegate Vogel.
Just briefly,
Great.
this bill was voted at E&T last year. This was not voted in our committee. And I think our committee, historically, we talk about these types of things, the penalties and how they're ensued. I don't think E&T looked at that when we did it. I wish I would have looked at it last year. I wouldn't have supported the bill. But I agree with everybody, and I appreciate what you're saying, Chair, about it's a may, but it's still there. And I think in this time and age, we'll see more of it than less of it. So I would be a no without the amendment coming in to stop that.
Okay, thank you, Delegate Vogel.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, I will just say I hear all of your concerns. The enforcement and the penalties are exactly the same as how they were last year in the bill that was introduced and passed. All 3 of you voted for it.
I agree.
Would love your support on it again this year.
I qualified that in my statement. Had I known that, had I dug into the bill, it was
Right.
in E&T, it was not in our committee. And I appreciate what you're saying, but if it were my committee, I probably would have looked at that penalty clause first. So I would not have supported it. And I don't think any one of us would have, at least the people in my side of the world. But I appreciate your comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I guess first things first, let's move the amendments. And then we'll open it up for discussion as amended. And then again, I always want to add a caveat that we can move a bill here. If there's amendments you want to draft and prepare, when we meet as a whole committee on the bill, there's still an opportunity for amendments to be added. So keyword there, opportunity. So with that said, Ben, did you have a comment to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and my apologies. I just wanted to add, out of abundance of caution, to make sure it's clear. My understanding is that your amendment is to add the trash collection as an exemption, and then also removing the word minor from page 2, line 18, which in the bill.
Correct.
Okay.
Move the amendment.
Do I have a second? Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All right. As motions to accept the amendments, all in favor say yay.
Yay.
All right, all opposed, no. All right, the amendments have been moved. All right, discussion on the bill is amended. It sounds like there are those who are, conversation around the penalties. Again, I open to have more discussion on how you want to add the, maybe change that in amendments when we meet as a full committee. But with that said, I will ask, is there a motion to move the bill as amended?
Move the bill as amended, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or raise your hand so I can also see that you're voting yes.
I want to make a comment with my submitting going forward.
Yes.
I would state that it is true that in the bills that we do put forth in through ECM, we do look very hard at penalties. So just because I'm moving it through here doesn't mean that we won't change that when we get to full committee. I want that
Yep, no,
understood.
I think it's fair to have a full discussion as a full committee on this penalty piece, and I think it also can open us to make sure we can create some precedent on how we want to move forward. But I don't want us to. I don't want.
No, I agree. I don't want
We
somebody
have
to
a lot
say,
of
"Hey,
bills,
you
y'all. So
voted."
we got to start getting things moving. So we have a lot of bills. So we'll bring.
Understood. I don't want somebody to say you voted out of subcommittee and then change the
No,
vote
for sure.
later.
No, for
Okay.
sure, for sure.
Just want to make sure you know.
All right. So with that said, the bill moves. Oh, I'm sorry. All not in favor say nay.
No.
And
Nay.
raise your hand.
Nay.
See, raise your hand. I can see. Adams, you a no? I
Oh,
can't see your
no.
hand. Okay, great. All right. So it's like a straight split there. All right. Next bill. Bill moves favorable. We'll move on to our next bill. This is House Bill 85, which is our vice chair's amazing bill on Corporations Association, Cooperative Limited Equity Housing Corporations Establishment. And there is one amendment being offered. Ben, if you can go ahead and give us a brief synopsis of the bill. And I will also, I believe the amendment is being offered by the bill sponsor. If she can then offer the details of the amendment and how it would change the bill. And that'll be our last bill of the day in regards to discussion and a possible vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. HB 85 is titled Corporations and Associations, Cooperative Limited Equity Housing Corporations Establishment. The bill had a fiscal impact. However, SSTAT has provided a letter that the cost of the legislation to SSTAT would be negligible. So they're clarifying that there will not be a fiscal impact for the bill. What the bill does is authorize Maryland non-stock corporations to convert to a cooperative limited equity housing corporation. The purpose of this is to provide affordable housing. The resale of cooperative interests through this corporation may not exceed the cost paid by the member for the initial interest adjusted for inflation, and then any improvements that are made by the member and approved by the corporation. The interests may only be sold to low and moderate income households. And then, as discussed, Mr. Chair, there was an amendment requested by MACO that addressed concerns about potential local preemption. The amended language is intended to address that. And and it's that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ben. And I'll turn it over to the bill sponsor. I believe she's here. If you could please just give us a brief breakdown on what the amendments do and any discussions you've had with MACO around any changes.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the amendments, I just adopted straight up what they had requested. They had a concern because the goal of the bill was to say, here's the law on a limited equity housing co-op, and you can't have different laws on limited equity housing co-ops in every county, as we do with many bills. And they just wanted clarification that didn't then exempt limited equity housing co-ops from their zoning laws or their, stormwater laws, or, that anything else that would apply to any other kind of a building applies to limited equity housing co-ops. And the statutory language around the fact that they can't add other laws are specific to, they can't add other restrictions on LEHCs, not on, don't restrict their legal authority in any other way. So they are fine with, they gave me the language. That's what you see. There's one or two other technical fixes, but they don't substantively change the bill. So I'll move the amendment.
Second.
All right, we have the amendment moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This is for the amendment, correct?
It's just for the amendment, correct? Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and please raise your hands because my staff needs to be able to see who's voting what. So please raise your hand. And then all those opposed say no or nay, whatever your preference is. All right, hearing none. All right, we are now on the bill as amended. Oh, I'm sorry, we have some questions here. Are these questions or your hand raising for your votes?
I had a question.
Delegate Adams, go ahead. On the bill as amended.
So during the hearing, I sort of articulated, I'm familiar with cooperative and the business model, and I'm not sure I got the question on this, but or answer during the hearing, but what's going on with the ability for this organization to wind down operations or to dissolve, or in that sense, is this just typical commercial law?
Yeah, I don't think the fact that it's a limited equity housing co-op changes sort of the standard process of how a co-op within the context of a corporation would dissolve itself as a corporation in the state.
All right. So the follow-up to that is the question relates to how they get financing at the beginning. I guess some of this might end up being subsidized and or government monies that come with it, conditions, and those conditions are predicated on that cooperative doing certain things certain ways. So what happens if there's a violation related to that? Not to tangle this bill up, but I know in these instances like low-income housing tax credits, for example, I know that's not what this bill is, but in those settings, it requires much of that organization to do things the right way. So thoughts on whether or not you're worried about these cooperatives with individual membership interests governing themselves in concert with subsidized deed restrictive covenants?
So I just want to be clear that
Sure.
in theory, the co-op could receive grants or special financing. There's nothing about the structure in statute that indicates they automatically would. And so it's sort of like if you were to say, well, you have legal statute and a structure for a nonprofit, for example, since that's a fun topic for the day. You have legal structure for a nonprofit and there's rules for those nonprofits, what they can and can't do. There's the complaints, there's whatever. But then if they get a particular grant from the federal government, from the ABLE Foundation, from the state government, they're also responsible for those. And the two sort of exist separate from each other. So yes, a limited equity housing co-op could receive money from state, local, federal, private foundation, and they would have to apply by those rules, including those grants generally have, like, if you dissolve as an organization, you know what your responsibilities are. But that's sort of separate from what the corporate law in the state requires, just as a corporate entity, separate from whatever grant requirement might be.
So let's do this, Vice Chair, if you don't mind. Those sort of questions I may ask in open committee. I suspect this bill comes out of subcommittee, and maybe I'll put in writing some of my thoughts, just because I want to make sure that a cooperative is understood. These are individual members that are going to be in an ownership position in that cooperative. And with that comes responsibility. So I raise that not because you need to necessarily respond to it, but maybe in open committee, we can talk a little bit more, because I think for the most part, we should. I don't want to bog it down.
Well, yeah. I mean, let me know if you have, if I could, Mr. Chair, let me know if you have specific questions. We don't want to bog things down.
That's what I'm offering to do. Just do this offline.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that there's not, if you look at how cooperative, we already have housing co-ops in the state. So there's all the rules that apply to that. And really the only thing that's different in this, I mean, the primary thing that's different in the context of a limited equity housing co-op is the way that you're sort of committing to limiting the equity that you're building over time into your unit or the part of the co-op that you own. And so I just don't think, I think that just how you think about any co-op or how you think about corporate law in general and so on really does apply. So I'm happy to get specific questions that you think might be different in the context of this corporate structure. And I will, I mean, I'll legitimately track down people who can answer those questions if I can't answer them myself, but let's do it sort of in advance, because I think it's pretty straightforward, but I want to make sure you have all your.
Yes, we can do it in advance, but I'm suggesting we go ahead and move along. I'm sorry to kind of bog it down. Now that I think about it, this is subject that you and I should be able to handle offline.
Okay, that's fine.
Delegate Bondari, did you have a question? Your hand's raised.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I believe this bill gives a resident a very simple, if I understood correctly, transparent path to convert their building into limited equity cooperatives, preserving affordability and preventing displacement. And it builds modest equity. If I understood this bill correctly, I moved the bill with the amendment for favorable report.
All right, we have a motion to move the bill as amended. Is there any seconded?
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor of moving the bill as amendment? Can I get an aye? Please raise your hand. All right, aye, raise your hand, raise your hand, raise your hand. All right, those in opposition, nay. If you can raise your hand for that as well, if you are opposed. All right, with that, the yeas have it. I'm sorry. Bill moves favorable as amended. All right, last bill, just for discussion. I see Delegate Rosenberg has joined us. This is House Bill 335, and I believe there's also an amendment to this bill. Ben, if you could please provide a quick synopsis of the bill and the I'm trying to see who has brought forth the amendment. I think the bill sponsor has brought forth the amendment. So if Ben, you could please describe the bill, and then we'll leave it to the bill sponsor to describe it as amended. And this will just be a brief discussion on the bill, and hopefully we can discuss possibly voting on it at a later time. Ben, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 335 is titled Real Property Dedication for Roads. What the bill does is provide that if there has been a private road shall be considered offered for dedication to public use if that road has been open to public travel for 20 years or more. The bill as amended provides that this offer for public use is considered accepted by a county or municipality if maintenance and or repair to that road is provided before or following that offer. So the amendment was done to address, I believe, the fiscal impact that may be incurred by the state. I had reached out to MACO and MML for a position on the bill. MML does not have opposition to the bill, and then MACO expressed some concern about the cost, is my understanding, but they did not formally oppose the bill either. So.
Sorry, still don't know how to work my mute button this many years using Zoom. Delegate Rosenberg, if you could please provide some context around the amendments and where you are in MACO and MML in regards to their support of the bill. And again, this is just for discussion, and then I'll send it over to Delegate Weibel and Delegate Ahrens will close us out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The amendments take the state out of the bill, which their response to the fiscal note is what it made the fiscal note too high. So with the state out of the bill, they should be fine, and the fiscal note should be fine. The amendments also provide that this is retroactive, that the effect of the bill is retroactive, to make it absolutely clear that the bill would apply to the neighborhood in my district that prompted the introduction of the legislation, but it would apply statewide. And what the bill does is put into effect statutorily a decision of the Court of Special Appeals that if a road has been used and treated as a state road or public road for 20 years, then it has in effect become a public road, and the local jurisdictions would need to comply. MML, I think my very best recollection is we met with them, and with the change to the bill, they do not oppose, and Mako has not been involved, at least in any discussions with me. So I can't speak to their, I don't want to speak to their position, but they certainly had opportunities to raise their objections if they had any.
Okay, thank you. And just for a point of clarification, the decision that you're referencing, where did that take place and who was that in reference to?
It was a Court of Special Appeals decision in a jurisdiction, it was not in an urban jurisdiction. I do know that.
Okay.
It's been a while since I looked at the case.
Well, when you get a chance, we can just share the case with me. I want to get a better understanding of the nature of that case, and if I'm trying to understand if the appellate division was, making sure that it's clear as to who they were speaking to as far as how it's worked. But that's again why we have this conversation. We'll go Delegate Wobble, Delegate Arentz, and then Delegate Queen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just trying to get a handle on this bill. I mean, up in our county, we have, numerous road miles where, we have roads running through mountains, and they've been disputed over the years. The county hasn't necessarily maintained them. The county doesn't have a deeded right-of-way to them. And so does this bill, if it's been open to the public for 20 years, does this bill require then that jurisdiction to be, it just sounds like it automatically dedicates that road to that county or municipality, and then does it require them to then maintain that road?
Well, the holding, we are codifying the holding of the Court of Special Appeals, not going any further than it does.
Yeah, but so then what's the maintenance? This could have huge fiscal impacts on local government. My God, we've got hundreds of road miles that stretch through, mountainous regions potentially. So if somebody could come along and say, hey, I'm going to build a house up here. This is a county road because it's been open to public travel for 20 years. So you guys need to pave it. Is that not what we're talking about here?
Well, I would think the MML would have objected, continued to object.
No, MML represents cities and municipalities, and that the situation I'm describing doesn't exist near as much as it would in a rural county.
Or if I may correct myself, Mako would be, if it had this potential fiscal impact, that Mako would have been more involved.
And then because we have, we're off wide. So what road width is being deeded over to the government, local government agency?
It would be roads that had been treated as public roads in terms of maintenance.
No, I'm talking about the width, the road width, not the road. Like I said, some roads are deeded, many are not. They just probably traveled over them over the years. And how wide of a width is being dedicated? Is it to the AASHTO standard, or is it to whatever the gravel is to now, or the macadam? I'm confused as to what the road width is it's being dedicated.
I assume it would be the road width as it has been over the 20-year period, whatever that width is. And the court does not, the decision, by the way, was in St. Mary's County, affecting a property in St. Mary's County. The court does not get into that level of detail, other than to say it shall be treated as
I'm just shocked. I'm shocked that Mako has not weighed in on this one. All right, thank you.
All right, Delegate Arentz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Delegate Rosenberg, I experienced some of this in my own county, and one of the issues that I've seen with this type of bill is that when we build homes in Queen Anne's County, we have a specific road where maybe 4 homes were built on a road, and later on other development came in. One of the problems we have is impact fees and who's paid for that road. And in a bigger housing plan, when these things get larger, those impact fees are part of those are to address the roads and the maintenance of those roads for a long period of time. So I put a call into my county because we're doing it right now. We're having a little bit of an argument with 10 or 12 homes. And I think some of that would play into this long term and for some of the things that Delegate Weibel was speaking on. If they're not paying impact fees, specifically the impact fee number that we pay for a house in a typical neighborhood, I think I'd have some trouble with this because people have been getting county services forever, and we're running into that. The county has kind of come in there to do all this stuff, and now everybody's saying, well, why are we all paying for it? They opted not to get us to maintain the roads in the beginning when they started the plan, so that's their problem, not ours. And that's where I run into a little bit of thought process. I'm not gelling with the bill at this moment, but I'd love to get more information. I'm waiting for a call back.
Okay. Well, I will ask Mako where they are and ask them to be in touch with you.
Well, I think Mako's okay on some things, but they got to go out to their full thing. And when you talk about a rural county such as what you're talking about, St. Mary's, we think we don't have the typical bills that the typical roads that a big community would have. That's where I'm coming from with it. But I appreciate you doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Delegate Queen.
Thank you. I think I kind of share some of the concerns that have raised because my notes had that we were going to take the state out of the bill, and it raised questions to me what might be Mako's response and MML's response to that. I'm curious that they didn't have responses because it was talking about the state when we brought the bill as originally presented to us. And so with that amendment, I do think we want to hear from them specifically about the impact. And I'm not understanding how the deed then gets treated at the county or the city jurisdiction now that the state is not part of this. So I think we do need a little bit more feedback from those two entities, especially now with the amendment to this bill. That makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you, Delegate Queen. I agree. And that's why I wanted to make sure that we made this a discussion and that we had an opportunity to hear the amendments, hear the bill sponsor. I'd ask that maybe we can find some time to bring them to the next conversation. But I do ask that, given, like I said earlier, the sheer volume of housing bills we're going to have this session, we got 12 bills tomorrow, 90 witnesses. I think some of this is going to require us to really take on some homework as our subcommittee. I think I have one of the brightest subcommittees in the entire General Assembly. I don't say that because I don't say that. I really do. I think we have a really good crew here, but I think we're going to have to be diligent in making sure that we're figuring out ways to think through things before we meet. So I just ask for future meetings, please make sure you take the time to go over the bills we're going to discuss, the amendments. I think it will allow us to have quicker conversations, but also if you have an idea for an amendment, you'd have time to throw in an amendment to have as part of our conversation if you feel as though. So please, we'll try and get the list of bills to you sooner rather than later. I know this meeting took like two weeks to happen because how long our meetings are going, but I'm hoping that we can get a good rhythm going, but we're going to have a lot of bills. So it's going to require us to do a lot of little pre-homework on understanding the bills. If you have some good thoughts or amendments, please bring them through. I think we got one of the best counsels in the General Assembly with Ben here. So he's able to walk you through and talk you through some things if you have questions. So with that said, thank you, Delegate Rosenberg, for joining us.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion to
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we are adjourned. We will likely meet next week. You will get the time later. But again, I ask everyone, please do your pre-homework. Make sure you're ready, and we'll make sure that you have all the bills and the amendments in the email and